Hey everybody, Jim Edwards here. Welcome back to the Sales Copywriting Content Marketing Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, along with my trusty co-host and podcast producer, Mr. Stu Smith. Welcome, Stu.
Hello, Jim.
And this is episode 163. We should have tried to do this around Independence Day, because then it could be, we'll set you free with 163. But, or maybe Juneteenth or something. I don't know, man. We need to time these numbers better.
Yeah.
Or go to that. There's some calendar that there's always some like 12 different holidays you never heard of that are happening on that day. So we'll have to figure that out. So
okay.
What's our topic today, man?
Well, this is a good one, and it has a lot to do with our previous show that we just had on the Jim and Stu show. In fact, if you guys missed that, you can go to Jim and Stu Show lot. Jim, what is it? JimandStuShow.com.
JimandStuShow.com, Stu. We keep it real simple here.
Yes.
Just
JimandStuShow.com. We actually do these live, so people ask questions along the way as well. So anyway, podcast 163 is finding time to grow your business, and this can apply to a couple different things. This can be you are working full time and your goal is to turn your side gig into your main gig. Mm-hmm. Or it could also be you have a business, you come up with a great idea that you have to spend extra time on completing, or you come up, or there's an opportunity that's in front of you that you have to spend more time of your day focused on. How do you fit that into your already busy day as a entrepreneur?
So, the funny thing is I've never met a single entrepreneur who said they weren't busy. Think about it. Someone who claims to be an entrepreneur, how many of them do you talk to that say there's not enough hours in the day, going 100 miles an hour, all these different things, not able to get stuff done? So I have a number of different thoughts on this. And I would say the first thing you need to understand is, if you're going to be doing this, you need to be really, 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 really clear on one thing. And this goes back to the Jim and Stu show thing again.
Hey, real quick, Jim.
Yeah.
Before you get into this, it looked like you drew yourself a halo.
That's because I did. Doesn't look like I did. It's because I did draw myself a halo. Because, it's my board. I'll do what I want. So the first thing that you need to define is, what's the result that you're creating? What's the result that you're creating for yourself? What's the result that you're creating for other people? And it's what's the payoff? So if we think about for your customer, what's the result? What's the result that I'm trying to create? Then you kind of work backwards. How is that result going to get created? Is it going to be done through labor, meaning me doing it? I mean, that's really comes down to, it's either you doing it or you hire somebody. So it's like the subcontractor model. So we'll use the example of, if you wanted to make websites for people. So that's something that I did for years. And it had good and bad effect. We'll talk about that in a second. But how's it going to get done? The labor. Then when's it going to get done? All right. So if you're doing it, then are you going to wake up super early in the morning? That's what I did, because I was building my business by myself. And so what I would do would be to literally get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would work from 4 in the morning until 7 o'clock in the morning, when it was time for me to go do my regular job. Now, the funny thing is, I was able to get more done in those 3 hours than most people got done all day. Why? Because I was super focused. All right. So how's it going to get done? When's it going to get done? And just work it backwards from the result is critical. This is part of the thing we talked about planning. But then here's a problem that everybody runs into. All right. What's that a symbol for, Stu? Money.
Money.
And time. So what happens is people say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the agency model where I'm going to run some ads. People are going to hire me to get something done. I'll charge them $10,000 and I'll find somebody on Fiverr that'll do it for $50 and I'll pocket the $9,950 difference. That normally doesn't work that way. All right. So what ends up happening is, but people think, okay, I'll sell something for a couple grand. I'll pay somebody $1,000 to do it and then I'll pocket the difference. Okay, great. So then all your time is spent, you think, just on sales and marketing. But the problem there is that the person that you're paying the $1,000 to eventually is going to flake out. They're going to get sick. They're going to quit. They're going to go somewhere. They're going to, so all of a sudden it's like, oh, I sell all this stuff. And now not only am I selling it, but I got to do it. Or I got to find somebody. So I'm constantly trying to find people who are going to be doing this. So all these problems start showing up. And you're spending all this money because you got to spend money to make money, but you also need money to live. And so pretty soon, this whole thing that you thought was going to be this wonderful side gig of freedom turns into a nightmare that drives you deeper into debt. You don't see your kids or your family anymore. You develop a heart condition and end up in the hospital. So what's the solution? All right. The solution is to understand if you're going to do something, to really understand the difference between selling a service and selling a product. A service, unless you're willing to make all kinds of massive investments in order to scale a service, is going to cost you a ton of money. It's going to take up a ton of time. And it's going to have massive risk. But a product is pretty much, you can scale this, especially if you've got a downloadable product or some software or something like that. Does it really cost you any more to sell it to 1,000 people versus one person? No. A little bit of bandwidth or, credit card charges. But again, you don't pay those until the people actually pay you. So then you say, okay, I ain't ever going to do a service. I'm only going to do the product stuff. Well, hang on there, sports fan. Because if you're doing this right, once you get it set up, it's funny, the time commitment on this kind of goes like this. Once you get the product all set up, which is a lot of investment on the front end, but it's a low investment on the back end. And as far as the money, this is weird. When you're setting it up, there's money on the front end, but then as you scale, there's money on the front end as far as advertising and that kind of stuff. But it's scalable, manageable. In other words, if you want to spend only $100, then you only spend $100 a day. If you want to spend $10,000 a day, spend $10,000 a day. I mean, it's your choice. This is within your control, as opposed to a lot of this is way outside your control. Because if somebody doesn't hire you, you're screwed. Because ultimately, with a service business, you are trading time for money. And once that time is gone, there's no money. You can't go back and resell that time later.
Nice.
So the big thing to understand with this, and the risk is pretty minimal. Because other than risking advertising dollars if you're going to use ads, but the cool thing is you can go do webinars, you can do affiliates, you can do content marketing, you can do all kinds of stuff that doesn't require an outlay of money up front. So someone, you know, in your mind, it's like, oh, I want to have a product. I'm only going to do products. I'm only going to do products. You know, the funny thing is you hear people like doing affiliate marketing. It's like, I don't want to mess around with the list. I don't want to do this. I'm only going to sell affiliates. Somebody else pay that, you know, deal with all that stuff. And then the people who are doing affiliate marketing start bitching because, I don't have a list. I see these guys with their list. They're making all this money. And, I see these people with their own products. They're making all this money. And the guys with the products are like, I see the affiliates are making all the money. And they don't have to deal with any of the customer service. It's always the grass is greener on the other side of the, on the other, you know, in the other guy's yard. Or what Irma Bombeck had a book called The Grass is Always Greener Over the Septic Tank. So what I suggest, though, is having this done in stages. So like in my particular journey, the way that I supported myself, if you look at it as, you know, we'll do stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and then there might be another stage. Okay, stage 1, I did it as a service. Okay, I was making websites. I was also doing some consulting, which was basically trading some time for money at an hourly rate in order to keep body and soul together and money coming in, while working on my product and getting all that stuff straight. So stage 2, it was mainly product sales based. But then I was doing some service stuff to supplement my income and to also keep my finger in the pool, my toe in the pool, my finger in the pie, whatever, to just be able to do the stuff. And now it's product with high dollar service stuff. So it's like, hey, if you want to pay Jim $3,000 to sit down with you for 45 minutes on a Zoom to have me look at your sales copy, you know, I can be bought. I'm your hoe. I will do that for you for $3,000. I'll look at anybody's sales copy you know what? As a bonus, I'll throw in an extra 15 minutes and look at it for a whole hour. All right. But I'm not going to write it for you unless you pay me $50,000. And the reason I charge that much is because they don't want to do it for anybody. So you gotta, the thing is you got to balance short-term cash flow needs with your long-term business plan. So if you want to have a truly autopilot business where you can scale it and it's bringing in money for you and your time is your own and all that other stuff. And there's a lot of myth around this stuff too, where people, you know, you can live the laptop lifestyle. Yeah, well, sorry, okay, I hate to burst everybody's freaking bubble, but the people who are making it big are working their butts off. They work hard, they play hard, but they ain't doing the 4-hour work week. That's the biggest crock of crap ever on the face of the planet. That was just a crock, okay? So if you're hoping that 4-hour work week thing will work out for you, let me know how that's working out. I've never met anybody who was doing the 4-hour work week without a crap ton of risk. So balancing your short-term, long-term, covering your short-term cash flow needs with building for the long-term. Another big part of this is being able to delay immediate gratification. Because if you go out and get a big house payment, you go out and get a big car payment, you go out and make yourself obligated to all these bills, and you have this big agency that you've built up where you got to make payroll and do all these other things, it limits your options to be able to try different things and be able to experiment and take the long view, because you've got that immediate cash flow that you've got to hit. And so that's one of the things that we've always operated on, a principle here of we spend last year's money this year. But most people are spending money that they haven't made 5 years from now. They're spending, 2007 money now. They are. You think about people operating with a ton of debt in their business and people, oh, debt's good. No, it's not. I have never thought that debt was a good thing. Cash flow is a great thing. So, but debt, sorry, not a big fan. Not for the vast majority of people.
It gives me so much stress.
Right.
It is stressful.
And it also limits your options.
Yeah.
And I see that in businesses all the time. All they got to raise money all the time. Always trying to find sources of money instead of being self-funding. So that factors into this at all as well. So the thing that I guess that I would sum up to get it back to the original question, the whole reason we're talking about this is that if you want to start something and build from part-time and build it into full-time, manage your costs like a demon. Number 2, manage your cash flow. Don't make big commitments obligating yourself to stuff, and focus on the results that your customers want and work towards creating a scalable product or a scalable service. That's why software as a service is a big thing, because software, and when you do actually trade time for money, make sure that you're keeping as much of that money as possible, as opposed to you trading your time coordinating somebody else doing stuff, and then you end up doing all this work but don't make any money because you're paying everybody else to do the thing that the person hired you for. Anyway, those are my thoughts. That's where I see people over the last 30 years really screwing it up. I saw that like with real estate agents. I knew real estate agents that were making, say, $400,000 a year in gross closed commissions. All right. But they were spending $200,000 a year on advertising. They were spending $50,000 a year on their own staff. And so their net was somewhere around $100,000, $150,000 a year. Then I knew other agents who marketed differently, who were making $250,000 a year with a part-timer, and they had Sundays off. Who had the better business?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who had less risk? So, just some things to think about.
Let me add a dimension to this one, Jim.
Okay.
I also share your stage 1, 2, 3 approach as well in my journey. It was very similar, service related. I figured, hey, this internet might be a way for me to make money without a lot of time, right? And figured out a way to come up with some products to sell that were very related to my service business, and then created a higher end product on the back end. So yeah, it's a great journey. I think that is a great 1, 2, 3 stage for anybody wanting to turn a side gig into their full-time job. However, how about this one? Just like our last show on the Jim and Stu show, we're talking about planning your day and planning your week. Is there a time of the day that you can fit into a block of time that enables you to do that great idea that you just have to get done? Because you're a lot like me in this area too. When an opportunity arises or you come up with a great idea, you find time in your day to get that done, regardless of the time it takes from your normal daily schedule.
Okay. Here's what you do. One of the things that I discovered when I was living in the trailer park and doing everything I could to get out of that's when I discovered that all of us have 2 golden hours every single day. And those 2 golden hours are times when we can work on stuff. 1 hour is the creative hour. The other is the mechanical hour. Creative hour is when you're doing things like writing sales copy or making graphics or just doing stuff that requires whichever side of your brain is creative, juicy. For me, it's first thing in the morning. My creative time, and I actually have a creative window that's anywhere between 5 in the morning and 9:30 in the morning is when
Same.
I can flow hard. I try and fit in my workout in that time too. But the funny thing is that the creativity actually gets sparked by the working out. So
Same.
my workout journal looks a lot like an idea journal. So and I had a hell of an idea this morning actually. So you want to know, okay, for me, but like for my mom, her creative time is at like 11 o'clock to midnight.
Same
She's
with my
one of
wife.
those night owl types. Okay.
Same.
So what you want to identify is the 1 hour that you can really be creative and get creative stuff done. Then there's the mechanical hour. And this is like usually if you have a job, you get home from work and you've put the kids to bed or whatever. It's like, this is the time where, this is where I would format websites. I would go through and do like text editing, because text editing is a mechanical thing. It's not a creative thing. Doing grammar, punctuation edits, things like that. It's just whatever, a mechanical type thing.
Right. It's kind of like the manual labor of computers.
Yes, absolutely. You don't have to think. Like at night, one of the things I've started doing now is watering the garden. After dinner or whatever, you just kind of sit there. You can put on your headphones and just do it. You're just getting it done because it has to get done. Here's the other thing that you need to understand. I'm not, everyone's, give up TV, throw TV out the window. Well, that kind of sucks, because if your life is, if you got shows that you like and stuff like that, you don't want to totally give up TV. But if you have a DVR, did you know that for every 60 minutes of a network TV show, fully as much as 22 minutes of that is commercials now?
Absolutely.
So that means there's only 40 minutes of TV time in there. So if you want to watch 3 hours of TV, here's the thing. If you have a DVR, 3 hours of TV is going to have an hour of commercials. So you still get to watch your 2 hours of TV. Plus, I just found you another hour that you can either do mechanical stuff or other things. Like, it's true. It's true.
I like that. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 3 hours a day, and you still get 2 hours of TV. And
crazy.
If you think about most people's workday, let's think about somebody, and y'all give me a amen or a boom shakalaka in the comments. This is how most people work at a job. All right. This is how a job works. Show up just in time. Okay. Then spend some time getting ready to actually do something. Then there's probably a meeting or something that's going to happen. Or so I don't want to get anything started too much. So I'll just jerk around with my email or whatever. Then we have our meeting. I'm going to have a cup of coffee. Well, crap, lunch is going to be about an hour and a half. I guess I better get something done. So now I do something for about an hour, and then it's about what, 11:30? Well, crap, lunch is in an hour. I don't want to get anything started that I can't finish. So then I jerk around. So half a day, 1 hour's worth of work done. Now, come back from lunch, might be in a food coma, might be on my personal time, on my cell phone with a spouse, having a fight or planning something else, doing some text, check personal email, look at social media. Oh, crap, maybe there's a meeting this afternoon, but I see this stuff that needs to get done. Let me work on something. So you get about an hour's worth of work done. Quitting time's around 5. It's about 4:15. Again, let me check my email. And now I don't want to get anything started because I won't be able to get it finished before it's time to go. I'll just work on that tomorrow. Typically, an employee, this is not you, Susan. This will never be you. Never. I'm not saying this is you in any way. A typical employee, not an entrepreneurial employee such as yourself, who is amazing and wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
So that's how it goes, man. With most people at a job, not a properly incentivized entrepreneurial employee, they get about 2 hours worth of stuff done in a day. That's it. That's
Crazy.
it, dude. That's what you get. So that's why you could literally now, if you were getting 3 hours a day, do the math with me. All right. You're working on your stuff. 3 hours a day times 5 days a week. Because God forbid I should tell you to work in your own best interest on a Saturday. All right. So 5 times 15, if I'm not mistaken, is 75. And then 75 times 50 weeks a year, because again, you got to get them 2 weeks off. That is 3,750 hours of work on your own business. That is almost 4,000 hours, which that's a lot of hours, dude.
That's plenty. You just found time,
15.
Jim.
I did it wrong. I did it. No, I did it. What's
No, you
okay?
did
Maybe
right.
I did. It's 3 times 5 times 50. Maybe I did it wrong. It's 750 hours. It's
Oh, okay,
750. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's too much. That's why I got to calculate. But that's 750 hours. If you divide that by 40, that is 18.75 full 40-hour work weeks worth of work on your business, making your dream come true. Think about that.
Yeah. Finding time. You found it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now
I'm gonna
add another option to this because I know you've done this.
Okay.
Because I've done it many times. And it's amazing what the human body and mind can endure when you really are fired up to get a project done, to finish it. It's a very important deadline, whatever reason. Is I can probably function on 6 hours of sleep every night.
Yeah, for a while.
If you look, that tells me I have 18 hours to devote to something that I really need to get done.
Yeah.
And do it. And I've done that a few times, and it doesn't last long. It is a short-term
It's like
answer.
a week or a 2-week push.
Yeah, you can get a whole lot done. And this is like entrepreneurial stuff. You already got your job, and you got to do part of your job stuff in the morning, but then afternoon, after dinner, evening, go from 6 a.m. to midnight. I mean, it is very doable. I mean, you don't want to do that. You don't want to have to plan to do that. I like Jim's method a whole lot better. Just spread it out over. But if you ever just get one of those to-do fits on, you can handle that.
Yeah. It's like those hackathons or, codathons or stuff like that. Yeah, you can. I've done that before. The best I can do is about a week. Yeah. But you can get a lot of stuff done if you're super planned out. But you're also, it's like one of those gut checks you really don't ever want to have to do.
No.
It's better to position yourself so that you're so organized in getting the stuff done that, it's like the old bull, young bull thing. We're going to walk down the hill. You're going to run. So. Yeah. Anyway, well, this was good, man. This was really good. I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
That got me some clarity as well. Did you all enjoy this as well? Did you get anything out of this? And maybe you could, in the comments, share with us what those of you who are here with us live, we do the podcast live in front of a studio audience. Our studio is remote. But if you could tell us what your biggest takeaway was from this, that would be great. If you want to share. Would be good. So that's what I got, Stu.
So how about this? What's the rest of your week look like, Jim?
Busy as crap. In 5 minutes, I have a training in front of like 500 people, and I'm doing a big training tomorrow. But I don't worry about it because I've got systems and things in place to be able to handle it. That's the biggest thing. And the other thing that you talk about planning, Fridays, I don't take appointments anymore. I don't have any meetings. I don't do anything. Friday is my day to work exclusively on wizards and scripts and important stuff like that, because that drives my business and gives all the rest of my business juice. So that's part of my whole planning process, is to set aside time to work on the things that are important for my team, my business, and my helping others and adding value to the world. That's a big part of it. So.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Well, this was fun. Always good to see you. Don't
You
see
too,
you enough
sir.
anymore. So this is good. Always our time to get together. Just us girls talking. And by the way, I like your shirt, man. That's kind of cool. I like it with the
My patches on there.
with the patches and stuff on there.
Yeah.
So
Thank
I
you.
have to do more push-ups, and I'll get a shirt like that. So
It's cold down here in my basement.
It's June, dude. Sorry, it's a
the air
warm time of
conditioning.
year.
You throw the
Oh.
air conditioning on in your house, and the basement is like an ice box.
There you go.
It is frozen
right.
down here. So,
All right. Well, we appreciate y'all. Have a great day. If you want to get in shape, head on over to StuSmithFitness.com. If you want to learn how to write amazing copy, head on over to CopywritingSecrets.com. You can get a free copy of my book, Copywriting Secrets. Just pay a small shipping and handling. It'll teach you how to make amazing copy that gets you more clicks, more sales, and more profits. Guaranteed. We'll see y'all next time.
baby, that's life.
That's
And that's kind
life.
of like what we're going to talk about today, because life gets in the way of your best made plans. And do you have a plan? And are you able to adjust that plan to fit in all the extra things that happen to us, whether it's work related or personally?
And really, is there really a difference now? Is there really a difference between work related and personal? Because both that whole work-life balance is BS. It's like one has to give. Right. That's what I'm saying. It's everybody talking about work-life balance, but it's BS because it's almost like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice one for the other. That's what that implies. And that's probably not a good idea to set up a zero-sum game on yourself, especially when things go wrong, because I've been dealing with that a lot lately, and having to really learn this lesson. It's funny how we get kicked in the cojones and then turn around and turn it into a product.
It is. Hey, let me read the no kidding. Let me read the topic here. So
Okay.
Today we are going to discuss planning.
Okay.
Like, what is your plan of the day, plan of the week, plan of the month, etc.? Do you have one that is consistent, that fits perfectly into your life and business? And are you consistent enough that your customers notice when you are inconsistent? That's when you know you're consistent.
Yeah.
When your customers
absolutely.
say, "Hey, what happened? I didn't get my newsletter today."
Right. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to unpack there. Where would you like to start, Stu?
Well, let me start with a little story. When I was in my Navy days,
Okay.
there would be a meeting, and we would do it typically once a week, but then there would be this once a month meeting. Then there'd be a quarterly meeting, and it was all about, this is our plan for the week. And each one of those weeks had a plan of the day. In fact, they would post it out up on, instead of sending an email back then, they just posted it out on a bunch of papers spread throughout the command, and it said POD, plan of the day. Boop, 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 boop. Everybody knew the plan of the day, and it worked really well. You just take one day at a time. But there was a meeting that set up that plan of the day for the week, and there was a meeting that set up those weeks for the month, right? And there was a meeting that set up those months for the quarter, right? And so it was just something that I learned, in that period of time in my life, that I thought was very foundational for how I still operate, using that kind of a thinking format. Because, let's face it, if you have no plan, you're just moving through, you kind of miss, you miss some of the big picture that you may need to be focusing on, when you don't actually take a moment to consider all that's going on in your business and life, and how you balance it.
And I think, and I'm just fixing my camera, but one thing that I would say, and this is I'm not going to say the maxim exactly the right way, but it's I'm paraphrasing something else. But if you don't have your own plan, you're basically operating within someone else's plan. I'm not saying it the right
Oh,
way, but
yeah.
like if you aren't doing your own thing, if you don't know where you're going, you're going to end up following along with somebody else, or you're going to be you're going to be operating through somebody else's plan. Maybe somebody else knows that saying, whatever saying I'm trying to remember in there, that that's a principle of some kind.
Also, it's
And
easy to get distracted when you don't have a plan.
right, the bright shiny object thing happens to you all the time. You're flitting from one thing to the next and the next. Nothing ever gets finished. And one of the things, we talk about planning, it's been had a huge impact in our business, has been the implementation of some principles. There's a book by a guy named Chet Holmes. It's called The Ultimate Sales Machine. And Robert's like, Jim, master of linguistics. No, I don't even think so. But the one thing, and it's weird, you can read a book a bunch of different times and you'll find something different every time you're in there. One of the principles I learned from that book is that if there's something that's super important in your business, you should be having one hour meeting a week about it. And so we started doing that with our content this year. We meet, plan out the content. All of a sudden, our content results, which have always been consistent, became massively more consistent. Like my multiples, from week to week, week over week, as much as 438% increase in sales. So now we have another meeting. So once we get that one nailed, now we have another meeting, planning, once a week, where the purpose of that meeting is to plan out what are we promoting, when, why, what's going on. And so everybody's on the same page. And just by having that plan, so much more stuff is happening so much faster and at a much higher level of quality than in the past. Flying by the seat of your pants is what most people do. And if you're good, a lot of times you can get away with it. But having that planning component in your business, I can tell you from personal experience, it's making a huge difference. And it doesn't have to be hours and hours and hours and hours and hours every day. Your small business is not consumed by meetings as if you were in some big corporation. I'm part of another project that in the last 3 weeks has generated over $3 million in sales. And all the coordination and everything for that is being done on a daily meeting that is only allowed to last 15 minutes.
Nice.
And it's got 7 people on that meeting, and it's 15 minutes or less. I'm in another thing, planning and accountability, and right along with planning goes accountability. I'm in another meeting every single morning at 9:00, and I've been doing this for the last 4 months with my buddy Bart Miller. He's got an accountability program. It's amazing. And basically all we do is every morning at 9:00, there's 8 of us. We show up. It's only 10 minutes. You come on and Bart gives a little, thought of the day, little mini assignment thing. Then everybody comes on and says what they're grateful for, they say what their main purpose is in business. That's the first thing you say, your why. Next thing you do is you give your win from yesterday. You give the number one thing that you're working on this month. You have your big thing that you're moving this month, and then your big thing that you're doing today. That's it. There's no kibitzing. There's a little bit of kibitzing because I'm on there. But it's real straightforward, and everybody's got the system. So it's not, you'd be surprised how much you can get out in a minute if everybody's, boop, 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 boop. And it has made a huge difference because it's it's like that focus and the planning is what's going to create results.
Yeah, 100%. Man, I love doing those things, and I've just found that it enables me to not only plan around situations that occur in life, like if I have a to-do list in the AM that
Mhm.
I need to get done, but then something comes up in my AM that completely distracts me or takes me away from work altogether, there's a section in my schedule that I can replace that and do that later. It is going to get done somehow. And when you have planning time set up like that, you can, it's almost kind of like a block model, right? Here's my block of time right here. Well, guess what? I can push off this admin work later in the day and make this happen if I absolutely need to.
Right.
Right. So you got these like blocks of time that you can move around if need be, depending on your situation.
And also, if you know what the most important thing is that you have to get done, and you've prioritized it, and you really know, okay, this is the big thing. It's funny how when you're super focused, all the crap that's urgent, kind of, you're like, oh, that didn't get done, and it didn't make a damn bit of difference to anybody in the whole entire world.
Yep.
And so what I'm seeing, especially with things that are going on right now, is that defining that number one most important thing that has to get done today. And so you're like, okay, I'm going to get that done in this time, but something happens. You got to take somebody to the doctor. You got to do something else. All right. Well, that time thing's messed up. So what, maybe I can shift something up here and move it beforehand, or I can, squeeze a little here, do whatever. Then if this one gets wiped out, it's like, okay, well, that doesn't mean you're not doing the most important thing because you can't do it when you were going to do it. It means you start eliminating stuff so that at least, you're getting thrown for a loop through the whole thing. And finally, it's like, okay, I got the number one most important thing done today. I thought I was going to do it at 7 o'clock. I ended up doing it at 5 o'clock in the evening. But because I was so focused on this number one thing, the most important result I needed to get today, that's how you can stay on track instead of getting a week down the road. You've done some stuff, you were busy, but the important stuff got lost and didn't get done. So knowing that one most important thing of the day. And if you make that habit of doing that single most important thing of the day, no matter what happens after a month, even if you're only working Monday through Friday, 20 number one most important things of the day get done. That's how at the end of the month, you can really, no matter what's happening, you can still get something significant done, as opposed to people that everything's perfect and they don't get jack done because they're jerking around.
Plus, take it this way, what is easier to make up the day after? A number one priority or a number 4 priority?
Number one.
Well, no, easier. Like for me, like if I put a lot of number one priorities off, and like I got to really play catch up on Friday, I mean that is a time consuming catch up. However, if I'm putting off the number 4s for a few days, it's not that hard to make up at the end of the day.
Or at the end of the week, you can kind of play cleanup on a Saturday morning. It's like, here's all the little crap I didn't get done. And you play cleanup on a Saturday morning, you're fresh, and all the energy that you use to do your number ones, you apply to the number 4s. And it's like you knock out all that crap in a couple hours that would have taken a whole day when you were dragging butt.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say.
So I think that's a critical, that's just a critical distinction. And the one other thing I would say when it comes to planning, at least for me, I typically operate with, I know the big result that I want to get. That's the thing literally that's on the Post-it note that is right here on my laptop screen. It's even blocking a part of my screen, so it's always in front of me. I always see what the number one big things for either the week or the month is that have to get done. They're always in front of me. So that result, I'm always conscious of it. But the planning where and this is like for goal setting and stuff like that, most people do their planning of, okay, well, I'm gonna get this result by this date. But the planning needs to be scheduling of all the steps it's going to take to reach that goal. And those become your number one priorities each day. In other words, the planning is the actions you're going to take and steps. And that's what a lot of people, they're planning, they're like, okay, we're going to do this by the end of the month. The end of the month comes and it's not done. Why wasn't it done? Because you never broke it down into all the individual actions and had an account. This is another thing that we started doing. We have an accountability person, the lady with the clipboard. Nice. And it's like, okay, this sounds great, but that's Nancy's job now, is when we do the stuff with the, with the promotional stuff or with the content stuff. It's like, okay, last week we said we were going to do this. We've got these priorities. This is what we're doing. Okay, was this done? Was this done? Was this done? Was this done? If not, why not? And so it's knowing that you've got that accountability of that next meeting. I got to get my stuff done. So that's really the if we were going to look at this to get the result, okay, or to have the thing, we gotta know the result that we want to take. We got to know the actions we're going to take, and we got to have accountability. That says accountability. But I mean, those things working in concert together, that's how you're going to actually produce something. Anyway, that's kind of how I look at stuff. By the way, Stu, what do you think of the blackboard setup instead of the whiteboard setup? What do you think?
I like that. I was going to mention that here. I like the new chalk setup.
You like that better?
Yeah, I like that.
I like it a lot better. I think it shows up better.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't get as faded out, and it looks cool. So anyway, those are my thoughts on planning. Anything to add on any of this?
No, not really. I added mine on the front end.
Okay.
But I definitely want to make this a nice, smooth transition into the podcast because they are somewhat related.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready to do the podcast, we can.
So couple things I just want to acknowledge. Robert said that what we were talking about was Parkinson's law. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up right now. Parkinson's law. The world expands, filled the time allowed. Okay, that's similar. Similar to what I was thinking. And they said, what do you think of Eisenhower's matrix? Important, not important, urgent, not urgent. I was not. That's kind of, we talked about that on a previous one, something similar as far as the Carver matrix.
Oh yeah. Hey, show them your I don't know if you have it available, but your sheet, your daily sheet that you fill out every day. Don't you have one of those? I have one. I don't have it right here in front of me because I'm at a different podcasts
location.
We've
done
too.
Yeah. But it's basically you pick out the top 3 things you're going to get done today, and then those are the big things, and you schedule them in your time. So anyway, okay. So there's also a book called The One Thing. I've read that. I think it was the guy that started Keller Williams. And one of the things, there's a really cool, just to finish up, there's a really cool picture that he uses to illustrate, if you really want to get a result, this is what most people do. They get distracted and they have all these different things going. And then, their thinking and everything is just all mixed up. I don't know how well you can see. There's a little bit of glare there. But then what he says, the one thing, when you're only focused on one thing, you can make it a lot further, a lot faster. And that just, I loved this graphic because if you think about, I'm doing all these different things all different day, and I'm, my mind and everything is divided up trying to switch back and forth. But if you're focused on that one thing, if you're always in that one result, you get it done a lot faster. So anyway, cool. Well, we can transition to the podcast now and do your thing. Okay. This is episode 163. So 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Jim